Good afternoon, everybody. It is Cardiologist here again. A lot has changed since I made my last video. Today I'm going to show you the new garage. I'm going to show you a new addition to the cardiology family of cars, and we're going to go ahead and replace the brakes on my E320 CDI. Okay, well, first things first. It took a long time, but finally I got around to cleaning this garage. It was an absolute mess. I got a nice floor from Garage Floor Inc. That's after I cleaned everything and painted underneath it. And I painted in the back here, all the shelves. But the car is the same. And of course, this car, we've documented all of its maintenance throughout its life, and right now we're at 168,000 miles. Last week I just changed the oil. And now we're to the point where we need some brakes. I'm going to do the rear brakes. Another point, I'm going to do the front brakes. I'm going to replace the suspension mounts. I might need some ball joints up in the front. We're going to keep this car going pretty much forever. However, not to be outdone, there has been a new addition to the cardiology garage. It was not long ago that I was looking to replace my little red SL that I had sold to one of my friends. That was in 1989, and actually in 1987, and I had restored that and brought it back to its full glory. I really wanted to get an SL, but I wanted something a little bit newer. Well, one thing led to the other, and welcome to our new acquisition. This is a 2009 SL 550. This is a special edition car. This is a Silver Arrow. In the year 2009, they made 550. This is one out of 550 of them. And as you can probably tell, it has some special things on it. First of all, these cars come loaded with every single option that you can get. And back in 2009, that was about $15,000 worth of options, including the panoramic roof. This is a special color leather. You can't get this leather on a regular trim car. It only comes out with the special edition. The regular cars are more luxurious and less sporty. They have wood. This goes with the full leather steering wheel, and instead of the wood, there's this black trim. You know, it's a matter of taste. The wood is probably actually a more expensive and more refined material, but it also has more of a luxurious and less of a sporty feel. So it's really just about style. Basically, I like it. We got the 19-inch AMGs. We got brand new tires on it. We got brand new brakes on it. And as if this was not enough, this car actually has a bumper-to-bumper warranty from Mercedes, thanks to the guy who I bought it from. A very, very nice gentleman. Gary, thank you very much. Really appreciate the sale. Really appreciate the car. Had it shipped down. And, you know, I'll do the regular maintenance on it, but in terms of any repairs that are necessary, the repairs will be done by Mercedes because it's bumper-to-bumper warranty. But to be honest with you, I don't anticipate any repairs. The car has 74,000 miles on it. It's been maintained at the dealer its whole life. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. So let's focus today on working on the rear brakes. I have never done a rear brake video. Since I have this nice floor, I went and cut today some plywood so that we're going to protect the floor from the jack and from the jack stands. I have my parts lined up. Let's go ahead and step through the process of replacing the rear brakes on a Mercedes W211. This happens to be an E320 CDI 2006. All right, let's go ahead and crack off these lug bolts. 2, 3, 4, 5. Back up the car. Okay. Well, we got a jack stand under there. Let's go ahead and take off these lug nuts and take off the wheel. Okay, you can see the type of brake that we have on this car. Now, some of them are vented and some of them are solid. You can see on my car I've got the solid disc. This is the screw that's going to hold on the rotor. So I think the first step is going to be to take off this spring. Okay, I'm going to use a screwdriver and hopefully just pry that out. There she goes. Okay, T40 right in here. Okay, we'll use that. Unscrew that. Okay, so with those two caliper pins unscrewed and pushed out, the caliper can come off. And you see how it just comes off like this. Great. Okay, I put the caliper up top. One of the pads remains in place in the caliper. The other pad is here. We're just going to take this pad out. That's garbage. Okay. And the next step is going to be to take off the caliper bracket that's held on with some big bolts, which will be located right there. And we will next take those off. Okay, so these are the 18mm bolts that came out, and then the caliper just comes right off. And that step is necessary because you need to get everything out of the way to free up this rotor. Next, we take out this little set screw, and then if this has been put together properly with good technique and good anti-seize, it's just going to come right off. Now sometimes due to poor technique, if something's been on a long time with no anti-seize, it can be very challenging to get this off. Sometimes you have to put in penetrating oil or hit it with a hammer. Okay, here's the bolt. So if everything's been done well, this should just come right off. Make sure the emergency brake is off. That'll do it. Okay, emergency brake is now released, and it comes off. There she is. It is a pleasure to see something done correctly. Due to good maintenance, good anti-seize, that thing just came right off. All I need to do is clean this up a little bit with brake parts cleaner, Scotch-Brite pad, make it nice, and then we're going to put on some anti-seize, get this thing back together with our new rotor. Okay, we smeared some anti-seize all over that. And here's a brilliant comment here. This is anti-seize, and it prevents seizing. Imagine that. Alright, one new official Mercedes brake rotor. I like to use official Mercedes parts. I use the Mercedes rotors, I use the Mercedes pads. They're a little bit more expensive than the aftermarket, but I think it's well worth it. Spend an extra few bucks, you never have to worry. This last set of brakes was ridiculous. It lasted like 90,000 miles. That's crazy. So I'm pretty happy with it. And you always replace the rotors and the pads together. Mercedes is designed that these things should wear evenly. Not really meant to be resurfaced. Okay, reinstall the retaining screw. And this goes down to 10 Newton meters. There it goes. Okay. Okay, next step is to use this tool to go ahead and push back the brake caliper. And I'll set this up and show you what we're going to do. Alright, so here is the tool in place. And what I'm just going to do is tighten this, and that'll push the caliper back into its location. Okay, so the caliper is now pushed all the way back in. Now before I put in the new pads, I will go ahead and reinstall the caliper bracket using the 18mm bolts. Okay, the 18mm bolts for the caliper bracket are back on. These get torqued to 115 Newton meters, which happens to be 85 foot-pounds. And then later on, these caliper screws, these are going to be torqued to 28 Newton meters. All right, time for new pads. Inner, outer, space for the sensor, we'll put that in. Always use a new sensor. Fits in just like this. There it goes. That's it. Okay, so the sensor is now plugged in right over here. We have the caliper put back in. You can see the front brake pad and then the rear brake pad. We hooked it up using the caliper bolts, T40, torqued down to 28 Newton meters. And finally, we put the spring back in. So now, as you can see, we have a nice brand new rotor, brand new rear disc. We've done the same on the other side. It's time to put the wheel back on, and then using 17mm lug nuts, torque that down to 130 Newton meters, which is 96 foot-pounds, and that does it for the rear brakes.